Hi friends, today we will discuss about ankle fractures. Ankle fractures are common and majority are the result of low energy torsional trauma. The aim of the treatment is to restore and maintain stability and alignment of the joint, ideally with normal anatomy of the ankle mortise. This should optimize the functional recovery and reduce the chance of development of post-traumatic arthritis. So the main principle behind the treatment of any ankle fracture is to optimize the functional recovery and try to reduce the possibility of development of post-traumatic arthritis. Assuming that the injury is isolated, closed, and the limb is neurovascularly intact, we have to follow the Bose-Duell guidelines. We can classify the treatment principles into initial assessment, initial treatment, definitive management, and post-operative management. Initial assessment include documentation of the mechanism of injury, document the skin integrity, neurovascular status, and the functional demand of the patient. The most important other aspect of the documentation and the initial assessment is identifying diabetes mellitus, peripheral neuropathy, peripheral vascular disease, osteoporosis, kidney disease, smoking, and alcohol. Presence of all these comorbidities can adversely affect the functional recovery of the patient. Initial management include we should reduce and sprint after immediate radiograph. If there is a delay in getting the X-ray, then reduce and take the X-ray. X-ray ankle, true lateral and mortise view are to be taken. Additional X-rays include whole leg for proximal fibula, foot and knee if indicated. CT if more complex fracture pattern is seen. Reassess after reduction for neurovascular status. So, in case of any extremity injury, assessment of the neurovascular status has to be done. If we forget to do that, the patient may lose the limb. So the X-ray evaluation include AP, lateral and mortise view of the ankle. AP and lateral view of the tibia may be taken, and foot series is indicated if there is tenderness over the fifth metatarsal or the calcaneus fracture is suspected. The anteroposterior view, we have to look for the tibiofibular overlap. So if the tibiofibular overlap is less than 10 millimeters, that implies syndesmotic injury. Then we have to look for the tibiofibular clear space. If it is more than 15 millimeters, that implies syndesmotic injury. Then we have to look for the talar tilt. If it is more than 2 millimeters, it is considered abnormal. The mortise view, actually mortise view is AP view of the ankle with foot in internal rotation. Abnormal findings include medial joint space widening, tibiofibular overlap less than 1 millimeters. The lateral view, we have to specifically look for posterior malleolar fracture. Then subluxation of the talus, angulation of the distal fibula, talus fractures, calcaneus fractures. The stress views demonstrate ligamentous or syndesmotic disruption. It may require sedation or hematoma block. We have to always take a contralateral side X-ray for comparison. There are various classification systems. The most commonly mentioned one is Log-Hansen classification. Then we have got the Dennis-Weber classification, AO classification. Log-Hansen classification associates specific fracture pattern with the mechanism of the injury. It is a two-term scheme. The position of the foot and the direction of the force are to be documented. So the position of the foot can be supination or in pronation. The direction of the force can be adduction, abduction, external rotation, or dorsiflexion. We can see the Log-Hansen classification on the right hand side. We can easily remember this classification using a mnemonic Sasser Paper PD. SA means supination adduction, SCR means supination external rotation, PA means pronation abduction, PER means pronation external rotation, PD means pronation dorsiflexion. So the mnemonic is Sasser Paper PD. But this is a complicated classification if you want to remember the each and every mechanism and reproduce it quickly. We have got a more easier classification called Dennis-Weber classification. It's based on the location and appearance of the fracture of the fibula. It can be type A, type B or type C. Type A is below the syndesmosis. Internal rotation and adduction is the mechanism. Type B means at the level of syndesmosis, external rotation lead to oblique fractures. Type C, above the syndesmosis, there will be a syndesmotic injury in type C Dennis-Weber fracture classification. Medial and posterior malleolar fractures, deltoid ruptures may occur with any of these fracture patterns. And the third classification is, of course, the AO classification. It is a modification of Weber classification. Type 4 injury accounts for medial and posterior injuries. So you can have a 4-4A, 4-4B, 4-4C injury patterns. A means infrasyndesmotic, B means transsyndesmotic, C means suprasyndesmotic. A can again be divided into A1, A2 and A3. Similarly B and C. A1 means unifocal, A2 means bifocal, A3 means circumferential. B1 means isolated lateral, B2 means lateral and medial, B3 means lateral, medial and posterior. C1 means simple diaphyseal, C2 means multifragmentary, C3 means proximal. So remember that our classification of the ankle is 4-4 and it is divided into A, B and C based on whether it is infrasyndesmotic, transsyndesmotic or suprasyndesmotic. We will come to the specific management. Usually it will be a theater management. But for stable fractures, analgesia, splinting, weight bearing as tolerated is the treatment of choice. We will come to how to assess the stability of the fracture later. If you are uncertain about the stability of the fracture, weight bearing radiograph has to be taken after 2 weeks. For unstable fractures, if the patient is less than 60 years, open reduction internal fixation is the treatment of choice. External fixator is used if soft tissues are compromised. If the patient is more than 60, close contact cast if maintained in plaster. Open reduction internal fixation, the main aim is to stabilize and align the joint, and we have to always assess the syndesmosis. Post-operative management include weight bearing as tolerated if there is no comorbidities. We have to delay the weight bearing if the patient is having any of the comorbidities we have mentioned in the beginning. Follow up within 6 weeks to identify complication and the status of the reduction. Thromboprophylaxis may be given as the case may be. These rehab prescription and prognosis has to be specifically articulated to the patient beforehand. We'll come back to the log Hansen classification, that we can remember that that include the mechanism of injury also. We can also remember that the mnemonic is SA, SCR, PA, PER, PD, Sasser, Paper, PD. First one is supination adduction injury. The medial malleolus will be having a vertical fracture. In all other fracture patterns, the medial malleolus will be having a transverse fracture. So if you see a vertical fracture of the medial malleolus, it is highly likely that it is a supination adduction type of injury. So injury begins as a sprain of the TF joint and it progressed to vertical fracture of the medial malleolus. SCR is supination external rotation injury. The injury starts as the injury to the ATFL. There will be a low oblique lateral malleolus fracture. Then the PTFL is injured. Then finally there will be a transverse fracture of the medial malleolus. So in case of a supination injury, the medial malleolus will be the last one to be injured. In case of pronation injury, the medial malleolus will be the first one to be injured. Of course, there will be a transverse fracture of the medial malleolus. The vertical fracture is usually seen only in supination adduction injury. So injury starts as transverse fracture of medial malleolus, then injury to the ATFL, and then there will be a transverse comminutal fracture of the fibula, which is high. PER means pronation external rotation injury. The injury starts as transverse fracture of the medial malleolus, then ATFL, then there will be a spiral high fibula fracture, then there will be injury to the PTFL. Last one is the pronation dorsiflexion injury. So if you are seeing a vertical medial malleolus fracture, let me repeat again, you can suspect supination adduction injury. Usually the fibula will be injured at a lower level in case of a supination injury. In case of a pronation injury, the fibular injury will be high. If it is transverse, it will be a pronation abduction injury. It is a spiral fracture of high fibula, then it is a pronation external rotation injury. Now we will come to the stability assessment. If the medial clearance space is more than 5 mm AP and or in external rotation stress view, deltoid integrity is lost. Increased TF clear space more than 10 mm in AP and Mortis view is also suggesting a unstable fracture. Then we have to look for the talocrural angle, loss of parallelism between tibia and talus, and features suggestive of syndesmotic injury. Then we have to look for telltales of syndesmotic injury. Abduction external rotation stress test per operatively is one way of identifying syndesmotic injury. The instability is greatest in AP direction. There are various methods mentioned for assessing the integrity of the syndesmosis. It can be enumerated as Cotton's method, external rotation method, squeeze method, and fibular translation method. In Cotton's method, excessive translation of the talus from the medial to lateral side compared with the contralateral injured side is looked for. In external rotation stress test with knee in 90-degree of flexion and ankle in neutral, external rotation stress will cause pain at the anterior or posterior syndesmotic ligament or over the interosseous membrane. In skews test, pain in the area of the syndesmosis when the fibula is skews towards the tibia halfway up the calf. Fibular translation, anterior-posterior translation of the fibula causes pain at the level of the syndesmosis. So if the syndesmosis is injured, there is no single best test mentioned in the literature. However, some authors recommend the use of two 3.5 mm stainless steel screw placed between 2 cm and 5 cm above the ankle using a 3 cortical fixation with the ankle in a neutral position. Removal of the screws prior to the weight bearing is not necessary. The single most important predictor of a favorable functional outcome following surgery is accurate reduction of the syndesmosis. Posterior malleolus has to be repaired if more than 25% of the articular surface is involved. Reduced by ankle dorsiflexion, clamp through the fibular incision, anterior lag screws are used for the fixation. So if you see an X-ray like this with no fibular fracture, we should be suspicious of a high fibular fracture. Such an injury is called Massenio fracture. It is fracture of the proximal one-third of the fibula with or without medial malleolus fractures. The mechanism is pronation external rotation mechanism. It requires reduction and stabilization of the syndesmosis. So in the first X-ray we are not able to see any fracture of the fibula. If we are satisfied with that X-ray, you may miss this fracture. Thank you.